as well as gentlemen. Papa Boris here with some more Hearthstone Arena action. If I sound quieter and more muted than usual, it's because it's actually very, very early in the morning, as you can see here, 4:03 a.m. I have insomnia, and you know what that means, more Hearthstone for you. So this selection of classes kind of sucks, because these were the last three classes that I played all in a block. I'm going to go grab Warlock again, with apologies to the Warlock haters out there. I know that you are out there, but the Warlock is the class with which I have the fewest runs on my channel, so I figured I might as well catch up here. Good rare to start things off in this draft. I think I'm going to grab the Siphon Soul, just because it's single-click removal. Warlocks only have that as a rare. All the other Warlock removal spells just deal damage, so it's nice to have something that will take out anything. Shadow Flame, Cobra, definitely cards I would take, but Siphon Soul fills a unique role, so with pack one, pick one, that's the card to grab. Similarly here, late in the draft, I could see myself taking a War Golem, but right now, I mean, Shadow Bolt. Removal, deals a lot of damage, great stuff. Alright, here I'm going to take the Dragonling mechanic. I have been told a little while back that I was undervaluing Swarm, and this is a card I've been wanting to play with for a while. Certainly better than this piece of crap Junker Nugget over here, and Sense Demon's definitely a playable card for Warlocks, but at the moment, let's go ahead and grab the Dragonling mechanic. Okay, I don't like the Succubus, I just don't like it. I'm sure I'll lose at some point because I didn't draft it, but here I think Hellfire is a very reasonable alternative. It's a board clear, and it can also serve as burn. Okay, so here's where we have to make a decision. Do we go for the aggro with the Abusive Sergeant, or do we go for just, you know, good cards in the form of the Darkscale Healer, with health being very nice for Warlocks, because of course that every time you can gain 2 health, it counters one use of the life tap, and undoes some of the damage that you did to yourself. Ah, man, I'm sure some people would say go for the Abusive Sergeant here, but I don't know, I like the Darkscale Healer a lot. It's like a Chillwind Yeti, but just 1 more mana and you get some healing attached to it, so we'll step away from the aggro route for just a moment here. Okay, well, the Shield Bearer, it doesn't really help you if you're aggro very much. This is terrible junk, so another Shadow Bolt has to be taken. Okay, well, we're getting a 6-drop, like it or not. I think really you gotta go for either the Lord or the Dread Infernal here, and the reason for that is the Reckless Rocketeer, so fragile, it's basically removal, it's basically like 5 damage for 6 mana, and I've already got removal. That's kind of what I've been picking up this whole draft so far, so it seems a little bit foolish to take such a weak card, especially when the role that it fills is already being amply served by the deck. I could take Taunt, which I have none of, or I could take this, which is sort of damage plus utility. We'll take the Dread Infernal. I think overall it's just stronger than the Lord of the Arena. Okay, here, there's a mediocre Taunter here. I'm not that desperate for Taunt just yet. I could take Card Draw, but, you know, I've already got it, so I mean, no matter what I'm taking, as a Warlock I already have Card Draw, and then this is just really, really a mediocre card. We'll take the Loot Order here, because I just don't have any 2-drops. It's a bit, I suppose, deceiving, because this 3 stuff is actually Shadow Bolts. I guess Loot Order is just a little bit more aggressive in case this deck does go the aggro route. We'll see. Okay, Frostwolf Warlord can be strong at the moment. I do actually have some synergy with the Dragonling mechanic, so while these are both very reasonable decisions, especially the Worgen, because I have no 3-drops, what I'm actually going to do is take the Frostwolf Warlord early, so that I know that other cards like the Dragonling mechanic, which have Swarm, or like Imp Masters, I've already got the Frostwolf Warlord in the bag, and can take those synergies to make him as big as possible. Okay, so Shadow Flame is a card I wouldn't mind having, but at the moment, honestly, I'm doing alright on removal with all these Shadow Bolts, the Hellfire, and even a Siphon Soul, so I don't feel that much pressure to take this sort of niche role-playing card. Felguard I just don't understand, so we'll take the Injured Blade Master. It works very nicely with the Darkscale Healer, will make me more inclined to pick up Voodoo Doctors and Earthen Ring Farseers, and plus a 4/3 for 3 is great since I have no 3-drop creatures. Haha, Shadow Bolt number 3. I mean, Shadow Bolt's a really good card, make no mistake. If you have a handful of them, though, it starts to get a little bit underwhelming because you can only kill 1 creature at a time with it, so you're not really getting ahead. Stormwind Champion's the other option here. I'm going to grab the Stormwind Champion for some endgame and for some buffing. Okay, well, we did say that we were looking for more Swarm stuff. This isn't, I guess, the best card to combo with the Frostwolf Warlord because, of course, they are the same mana cost. So I could take an out against weapons, or I could take Discharger for some more removal. I'm still feeling pretty good about the removal situation, so I don't want to take this guy. I do, however, have already 2 5-drops and only 1 2-drop. This one's also kind of fragile. It auto-dies to mages, druids, and rogues. We'll take the Ooze as an out against weapons, and also to make sure that the early part of our curve has something. Okay, so here's what we're talking about here. Drain Life, I'm just not a fan of. It's just way too little damage for the mana cost. So we'll take the Murloc Tidehunter. I've gotten increasing respect for this card, so my endless thanks to whoever pointed out to me that I should take Swarm creatures more. Okay, so now if we take a look at the ooze situation, or the, excuse me, the mana curve situation, we got 3 2-drops because we've been drafting those pretty aggressively, and then down to 2 5-drops. So now it would be reasonable to take a 5-drop. However, these, I mean, the Spiteful Smith, I will say, has good stats. But I've already got a few creatures here that are pretty decent against Flame Strike. So I don't need to take this vanilla 5-drop and weight my curve up even higher. Let's go ahead and grab the Fairy Dragon here. What I'd really like to see are some 1-drops. Some 1-drops would be nice. Not here, though. Okay, so I took a Dread Inferno last time when faced with this choice. This time I'll take the Lord of the Arena. I do, at this point, start to worry a bit about my lack of taunt. The Wolf Rider for some more removal. It's kind of like a almost Shadow Bolt sort of a deal. Now I'll take a Murloc Tidehunter. Might as well make this Frostwolf Warlord as big as he can be. Okay, well, I'm going to take Soulfire. It's an awesome card. I don't need any more 2-drops, and this thing's sort of junk. I'll hold out hope in the last half of this draft that I'll see an actually playable 1-drop. Oh, my God. Well, so the Pine-Sized Summoner, what worries me about that is we have a lot of 2-mana creatures, and as I've said before, you don't win aggro by playing 2-mana creatures. You got to do aggro by playing 1-mana creatures, and honestly, we haven't seen that many. I passed up, like, some Goldshire Footman. I passed up, Drill Sergeant dude for the Dark Scale Healer. I can't really justify the Demolisher. I hate that card. We'll take the Felguard. I don't know if this is going to work, but I do need some more taunt, and then hopefully I just won't have him early in the game. What is going on here? Alright, we'll take another Fairy Dragon, I guess. I really need some 1-drops now. Not a chance. Okay. I can't take this. There's just too many 2-drops already. I guess it'll be the Argent Commander, who is eminently playable. Does spike my 6 mana a little, but so it shall be. I could take this guy for taunt. It's just way too many 2-drops now. I don't like how that's turning out. I really wish I had drafted, like, whatever the alternative to that Loot Hoarder was. Storm by Commando, I guess, for some bad removal is what it'll be there. Oh, young Dragonhawk, are you kidding me? Alright, we got a bugged out card. So, okay, let me pause here and break the fourth wall a bit. In the past few videos, I've been saying that there's always a card that's bugged out. That's the Mad Bomber. A few people have been asking about that, so it must not be super clear. Mad Bomber is a card I just refuse to acknowledge exists in this game, so I will not be taking it. We'll take a Chillwind Yeti. Fits into the curve and is very good. Harvest Golem, a great 3-drop, and it would be nice to have some 3-drops that are not Felguard. So really, the only thing I feel comfortable playing on turn 3 at the moment is a Blade Master. Now, Mortal Coil, definitely great, but with Soulfire and the Shadow Bolts and the Hellfire, even the Dread Infernal, and I got this Commando, I feel like I'm okay on removal. We'll take the Golem just so we have 3-drops to play. What the hell is going on? Looks like it's time for spell damage. Now here, I'm going to take the Dalaran Mage, although I think a Dalaran Mage is not as good as a Kobold Geomancer, mainly because it costs more, and generally you want to play spell damage on the same turn. Right now, though, my utter horrible lack of 3-drops means I just want something I can play under the board on turn 3. Okay, Sense Demon's justified by this deck. We didn't see, oh my god, we haven't seen any of the Warlock 1-drop demons. Haven't seen a single Flame Imp, haven't seen a single Blood Imp, haven't seen a single Voidwalker. Oh god, the only thing we can find with this demon thing is a Dread Infernal. So Sense Demons is not, oh, I guess Felguard. It doesn't really work, because if I've already drawn the Felguard or the Dread Infernal, one of the demons I get is going to be a useless Imp, which is like a 1/1 for 1, and we only got 6 picks after this. Alright guys, well, you saw it here first. This is a first time in history of Papa Boris. We're actually going to take a Nightblade. I think that's the correct move. I just don't see what else to do. This guy fits a nice role in the deck. He taunts to protect all my junk trash that I drafted too much of, and he fits into my curve as well, so I'll take the Warden. Oh my god. So, all these are quality cards. Man, this is one of the few times I think I'm not going to take the Auctioneer. Normally I love that guy, but this isn't. There's not enough cheap spells here to really make that worthwhile, or that many spells at all, actually. Shadow Flame could be an out against bad situations. This deck does have a pretty high curve. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is 5 or more. I think we need to take Shadow Flame here as an out against dicey situations. Okay. Haha, Twilight Drake is solid. We'll take the Violet Teacher, though. It's a little bit more of a consistent card. Oh, hey, wow, Blood Imp, Stranglethorn Tiger, and Shatterstone Cleric. Nice of you all to show up. Well, the Blood Imp is a 1-drop, but it's not like... I mean, it is good to play on turn 1, definitely, so that all your creatures for the rest of the game, assuming there's no mass removal played, or at least, okay, let's put it this way, all the creatures that you play until your opponent plays mass removal have +1 health, which is definitely nice. But the Shatterstone Cleric, I think has to go for the nod here. I did overdraft 2-mana creatures, so it's really nice to have a Shatterstone Cleric follow up on that and put pressure on the board. I can get a really fast start even if I'm not, playing proper aggro with that. Oh god. Well, only one playable card here. That's the Pit Lord. Guess it's a good thing I took a Dark Scale Healer, because this 5 damage is a lot of damage. Honestly, I'd rather just have a Chillwind Yeti. You know, Chillwind Yeti is a 4/5 instead of a 5/6, but it doesn't damage me for 5, which is going to be a big deal in a lot of cases. So I think this draft, folks, I don't want to be negative. I'm going to do the best that I possibly can, but I think this draft actually just stone cold sucked. I don't think there were any cards, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there were any cards that would have even let me play aggro here. I could have taken like 2 Goldshire Footmans and an Abusive Sergeant. That is not going to do it for aggro here. Oh, and a Blood Imp. That's just not nearly enough. And we sort of... But there's both too many 2-drops and too much upper end, so I don't like how this deck looks. Okay, Kaiser the Shaman. At least I'm second, so Felguard, I don't want to play that on turn 3, that's for sure. Shadowflame is a bit more of a role player later. We'll keep our removal and our 3-drop. It's good that I'm second here. It makes this in my opening hand a lot more palatable, because what it allows me to do is, like, you know, kill one thing on turn 2, play the other thing on turn 3, and then I've got a big beefcake on turn 4. Alright, let's pass the turn. I hope my opponent has a slow start. He had nothing on turn 1, which is nice. You can't take that for granted. And the Crocolisk. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do here is go for the gold, go for the glory, go for it, connect 4. I'm going to play the Injured Blade Master. So technically, my creature trumps his creature. Now, of course, there's a number of different ways that he could buff this up to the point where it would kill my Blade Master. He could also just kill my Blade Master with removal, etc., etc. But you gotta ask your opponent questions. Keep your asking your opponent questions. Eventually, he's not gonna have the answers. Well, I think this opponent made a mistake here. He ran into my guy, but it's kind of pointless because he could have just dealt damage to me and run in later. I guess he was playing maybe around some kind of buffs. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of running creatures into something if the thing I'm running into doesn't actually die. So here, I could just trade with the Imp Master and be pretty content, or I could Shadow Bolt it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run it in. So my one creature traded for 2 of his. All that remained is an Imp, and it doesn't seem that likely this Imp is going to be that great against a 4 toughness creature. Even with like buffs and so forth, this thing still survives. He's going to protect it. Well, that's fine. But still, at the end of the day, it's just a little Imp, so whatever, I don't care. Let's go ahead. This is about as good as it gets to drop the Pit Lord. And I think I'm actually going to run in my Dalaran Mage. Reason for that being, I want this guy to be at 6 health, so that on my turn, I can run him in one more time, and then the Pit Lord will finish off this Warden. That seems like a pretty good use of my time. My opponent's going to need to play something pretty good pretty soon here before my 5/6 runs away with the game. Alright, that is actually quite good. I may need to Shadow Bolt that. We'll see. Okay, so I'm down to 22. He's actually got a life advantage against me, mainly because of this Pit Lord. Notice how good this Taunter is, right? Because if it weren't for this Taunter, I could be running amok amongst his creatures. Very tempting here to play out like my Dragon Link mechanic, but I think we need to go ahead and take care of business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to smack that, finish it off with my Mage, kill this Questing Adventurer before it becomes a problem, and let's go ahead and play the Fairy Dragon. I like to always play untargetable or stealth creatures in the middle. It's good practice to get the right habit in when you're up against mages with Cone of Cold, hunters with Explosive Shot, or rogues with Betrayal. Okay, that's a very good drop for him, actually, insanely so, because he gets to kill my Pit Lord for free. So this is going to be a 2-for-1. It's going to trade against my Fairy Dragon now, but it did just kill 2 creatures. So he's catching up a little bit there with that move. And that is definitely quite sad. Oh, does he have, like, Ancestral Healing or something? He's only got 0 mana. He's pointing stuff. Ancestral Healing. What is going on? I don't understand. Whoa, he didn't... Okay, this is a new player. I kind of suspected it with, like, the running the Crocolisk into my Blade Master thing, but putting the taunt on this and then not attacking with it is definitely suspect. We'll go ahead and kill that off. Yeah, I'm just going to make this trade. That seems fine, and then... we'll play out my board. Oh, I talked about putting this in the middle, and here I go, putting it on the edge like a champ. So what my opponent needs here is a Lightning Storm with the spell damage. It will wipe me out. And then he'll still have 4 mana left to work with. I'll have an equal number of cards, but these are actually sort of bad at the moment. Okay, this one suddenly became very great with the addition of the 8/8 on the board. But yeah, my cards in my hand are not super powerful or impactful. So if he did have a way to wipe me, I'd be in trouble. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do this. This. Swing for the first damage of the game, and let's go ahead and kill this 8/8. Okay. So the Siphon Soul there versus the Emperor Cobra and the Shadow Flame, I think that draft pick justified itself right there. And this guy actually justified himself too. The Shadow Bolt dealing extra damage earlier on was very, very helpful.
Just me and Mr. Bitey.
Okay. I could actually consider Shadow Flaming on my... Oh no, I can't. No, destroy friendly minion. Does that actually work? Oh, I cannot. It counts as a target. Shoot. So I was considering Shadow Flaming this, but it doesn't, because with the spell damage, it would actually kill his whole board. But unfortunately, I can't target this thing, and these guys are inadequate. I could play the Violet Teacher and Shadow Flame it. That would give me a 1/1, kill off everything he has. Yeah, I think that's the move. I gotta do that. It's not gonna get any better than this. Well, hang on a minute. Is it gonna get better? I mean, I could just Shadow Bolt the Twilight Drake, play my Warden against these things to protect my weak creatures. Yeah, let's do that instead. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's Shadow Bolt this, play the Warden down, and we're gonna go ahead and swing a Ling Ling. Okay, so I mean, I'm ahead on cards. I can get more ahead because I'm a Warlock. I actually have enough life to be able to do that. So what he really needs here is either like a really gigantic card, like another Sea Giant or something, or he needs silence so that his creatures can like make profitable trades against mine. Rock Biter Weapon. Alright, he's gonna get to kill my Warden, unfortunately. Luckily, the Dragonling dies, which is nice. Alright, that's actually a very nice top deck. So what I can do is this. Wait. Always draw cards first, kids. Always draw cards first. Stormwind Champion? Ah, that's interesting. Yes, that is very interesting, actually. I think I will do this. So this thing needs to die, I'm pretty sure. I think letting that live would be foolhardy. And we'll kill this thing as well while we're at it. So now I don't really mind Lightning Storm very much. It will kill off my little stuff, but the Stormwind Champion will survive it, even if he's got spell damage to power it up. So this game should be pretty much in the bag. As I say that, he concedes. Okay, well anyway, that was a newish player. He made some questionable moves. He attacked with a creature into mine, even though my creature wasn't going to die. And he had Ancestral Healing, and then he didn't attack with the creature after putting Taunt on it. And didn't just really put up much of a fight. So, could have been a bad draft, certainly. Could have been an experienced player with a bad draft or a bad draw, but I think that was a bit of a newer player, so we're going to collect our first win here. My deck, still not a big fan. It's got some less than great stuff. It's got, like, I mean, the Mogishan Warden is a card I respect somewhat, just because it provides Taunt, and it was pretty helpful there, as you saw, but it's sort of a weakish card. I mean, I'd much rather have, like, Ascension, say. And a little bit too many 2-drops. And stuff, and a bit too many 5 and ups. Peruvian. Oh, have I played this person before? Or does the name just seem familiar to me because I know what Peru is? I'm going to keep the Hellfire here. And the reason I'm going to keep it is I've got plays. I've got plays in the early days. I got hose in different area codes. And then if the stuff dies, well, then that means my opponent's killing it, and he should be playing his own stuff, and then maybe Hellfire can give me some of that value back. If I didn't have, like, guaranteed plays with, like, turn 2 and turn 3, like, if I didn't have a guaranteed curve there, I would not have kept the Hellfire. I think I would have mulliganed it back to look for my early plays. Alright, this is interesting. Here's kind of makes me wish I had drafted Immortal Coil. What you do here, I think, is you play the Loot Hoarder. Although it's emotionally unsatisfying to think about the Murloc Raider trading into the Loot Hoarder, it's still a card for a card, but my card draws a card when it dies. So obviously Loot Hoarder is great, like at its greatest, if you can trade it for, say, a Fairy Dragon or like a 2-drop of some sort and draw a card. But either way, you're still getting ahead if you trade it for any card, so don't shy away from making plays like that. Okay, here, what I'm going to do is just use up my mana and play the Dalaran Mage. Although it's not as aggressive as the Fairy Dragon would be, I think it's important to use up all my mana where I can, especially with this Frostwolf Warlord in my hand, where it might eventually be tempting to play a creature and the Frostwolf Warlord, I'd like to keep like a cheaper creature in my hand. Now the Ooze, wouldn't dream of playing the Ooze against a warrior if he doesn't have a weapon out. That's just like, I mean, I'm sure you could concoct some kind of crazy situation like, well, what if it's a top deck war? He has no cards in his hand, and he's at 1 health, and you are holding an Ooze. Would you play it? Yes, of course I would play it then. But in general, you never play Oozes against warriors when they don't have a weapon in play. Alright, he's going to try to kill my Dalaran Mage the hard way here. And this is a pretty good play for him, unfortunately. So had I played the Fairy Dragon, it would have just died. As it is, it's not super much better, because even if I use the Shatterton Cleric to buff this guy, it becomes a 2-3, which is not, unfortunately, quite enough to kill this Wrathy Weaponsmith. I could play the Ooze and kill, like, the not most impressive weapon of all time. And then try to use the Ooze to trade against this Weaponsmith. I think that's what it's got to be, because, honestly... yeah, otherwise the Shatterstone Cleric is just too much of a lackluster play. So what do I play besides the Ooze? Do I draw a card or do I play the Fairy Dragon? The obvious drawback of the Fairy Dragon is Cleave, which would kill both my creatures. So do I run headlong into Cleave, or do I draw a card? I think we're at the point where... yeah, I think I need to run headlong into Cleave. I've got Hellfire to back me up in case he does Cleave and play a small creature. I think we got to do this. I can't afford to fall too much farther behind. So we'll do this, and we'll swing for 1 damage. So he's going to get some value out of this Weaponsmith. It's going to get to kill off my Dalaran Mage, and then I'll have to use another creature to kill it off, unless or another card to kill it off, which sucks. But that's why this is a really good card, and why you should take it if you play as warrior.
My shield for Argus.
Interesting choice. It looks better than it is, I think, this move. Because basically, at the end of the day, he still just got to 2 for 1. This killed off 2 creatures. It killed off the Dalaran Mage, and it killed off my Ooze. But, now he also, like, wasted a Defender of Argus. It's possible that he just put that on the board just to put it onto the board. It is possible that, you know, he just, had nothing else to do, and it was either that or armor up, in which case that was the right move, but it was not nearly as impressive as it looked. Alright, well, I've got this coming up on turn 6, which is really nice, although at 5 mana, if he spends all of his mana, or even 4 of his mana on a creature, there's a lot of things that this thing will not kill, in which case I'll have to use the Frostwolf Warlord, which is just fine by me. Actually, this is looking really good. Here, unlike in the last game, I've actually got really good cards in my hand, so I feel good about my prospects, and we're both at 4 health, which is probably better for me than for him. As a Warlock against a Warrior, dual full health situation means all he's doing with his hero ability is getting more health. What I'm doing with mine is getting extra cards, and the life gain's not, and life loss isn't going to matter. So I'd say that it's a huge advantage to me at this point. Now he hasn't done much this game. All he really did was coin out the Weaponsmith and play the extremely underwhelming Defender of Argus. So it's not like I've been put up against that much resistance. Alright, the Owl drops down. I'm not even going to bother using the Argent Commander for it, honestly. We're just going to life tap here, get some card advantage going. Ah, that would have been nice to have at the... Oh man, this would have been so awesome at the beginning of the turn. We'll play the Yeti, though. So there's just still a chance that I'm not actually going to need to use this Yeti to kill the Owl. I can just play the Dread Infernal. Now, the risk, of course, is that the Yeti dropping by health puts me within distance of heroic strikes and the whatnot, but... that should be fine. Okay, here the very clear move, I think. Well, actually, never mind. So I have 2 main options. One is to play the Shattered Sun Cleric, make this guy a 5/6 and trade that way. Then what am I doing with my 4 remaining mana? Well, I could life tap and play the Fairy Dragon. Quite humble, and it leaves this alive. Another move is just to play the Dread Infernal. Yeah, I'm going to do this. So what this does is it damages the Lord so that my Yeti can trade up. So my 4 mana traded with his 6 mana. This is why Papa Boris does not like Lord of the Arena, volume 717. For 6 mana and a taunt, I really want more than 5 health. Well, touche, sir. This, without, assuming I don't draw any removal spells or anything, this will trade by itself with the Dread Infernal. However, I drew Shadowbolt, and I've also got the Argent Commander. I don't want to life tap, I'd rather just play a Fairy Dragon, so what we're going to do is this. To Northrend. We're going to pop Divine Shields with each other. I always feel like I'm talking about lesbians when I talk about that, like, hey, baby. You want to pop divine shields? Well, I mean, I can't do that. If I do it as a guy, I'll just sound creepy. But like, you know, if you imagine like a sexy woman voice, like, "Hey, lady," I can't do sexy women voices. But like, you know, like a sexy lady going like, "Hey, want to pop divine shields?" It sounds like. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about here. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the board situation to stop that train of thought. He's got 5 cards to my 7. My hero ability gives me more cards, and I've got plenty of life to use it with. So I think we're looking pretty good here. This is extremely unimpressive because of my Stormwind Champion, so props to me for drafting this bad boy. He's a card I've passed on a couple of times now, but assuming my Dread Infernal lives... okay, well, my opponent... What? Okay, I think that was a mistake, because at a 2-7, he was technically surviving against my stuff, but as it is... Actually, Shadows on Cleric or Stormwind Champion would have let me trade this. As it is, he's just basically letting me trade directly, which is, I guess, okay. I'll take it. Yeah, I could ignore him, but I'm not playing aggro here. I'm playing control because I have the overwhelming, disgusting card advantage. So what we'll do here is we'll just play a Stormwind Champion and life tap. So life tap first. Always draw cards first. Shutterbolt. All right, good to know that I have all kinds of removal. All right, let's go ahead and trade this off. Let's kill this. That. Maybe he just played it because he had nothing better to do with it. I can see that. If he had like no other place to make, might as well ping your Gurubashi there. And I regret saying earlier like how I'm a pro player, always putting my stealth creature in the middle. But here we go. I just kept it on the outside. Okay, there's a brawl and a bad-mannered sorry. Really not the most impressive brawl ever. It was 5 mana to kill 2 of my creatures, and it was random. So I don't know. I'm fine with that. I still have massive card advantage already, plus more with my hero ability. Really don't see any reason for the bad man or sorry. Now, one thing I've noticed is there are some people who will sometimes like say sorry, like legitimately, like they don't mean it to be a douchebag taunt. They just sort of actually mean like they're literally sorry. Don't do that. If you do that, it will look as though you're being a douchebag, just so you know. All right, I'm going to play Felguard here. This is actually the perfect time for a Felguard. What's really interesting is that had this been Ascension Shieldmaster, I could have played it just the same. It doesn't affect what I can do on my turn. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and play the Shattered Sun Cleric. Make this as big as we can. And we'll swing. So why not put Shattered Sun Cleric on the Argent Commander? Deal an extra point of damage? Well, I feel like it was worth it to have an extra damage and an extra health on my taunt. Even though it's not immediately useful, I feel like it could be. And I figured it was worth doing that. Because again, I'm not really playing an aggro game here with all this massive card advantage that I have, plus like gobs of removal. This is more of like a control setup that I'm trying to run here, and I might as well, you know, try to make the control plays and squeeze out the victory with as little risk as possible. All right, well, I have to say, in my ongoing oh my god, look at this pro move buffing the Felguard, just paid for itself. If I hadn't done that, the weapon could have killed it directly. As it is, he has to use the weapon and the Panther. Anyway, we've seen 2 extremely unimpressive Twilight Drakes from our opponents so far in this game, so letting a little bit less credence to my love for that card. What we'll do here, I'm not going to life tap because I'm playing the Pit Lord and we're getting a little bit down on health after that, so we'll do this. Can I win, actually? Quick check. 7 plus 3 is 10. Yeah, no. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. I'll use Shadow Bolt there. Play that guy. Okay, a warrior with 2 cards and an Arcanite Reaper in his hand shouldn't be able to do 16 damage. I don't think that's possible. He could play like a King Crush, or not King Crush, sorry, Grom, Hellscream, and an Inner Rage. Anyway, he doesn't have that, so good. And he's gonna heal himself, alright. The Arcanite Reaper is unhelpful. He can kill a creature, but of course, it's not sparing him from any damage. Hellfire, unfortunately, can't be used before I kill this taunt, like to help kill this taunt, because it would kill off my creatures as well. But I might be able to, like, Shadow Flame and Shadow Bolt to get rid of this thing. And the remainder of my creatures should just totally do it. Okay, so that doesn't matter. Makes my arithmetic easier. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I just need to, yeah. Oh, Nightblade. Alright, I'm not going to do this. This is a dick move, killing someone with a Nightblade. Let's go ahead and use Shadow Flame to kill this guy after attacking with him. Clear the taunt out, and there's the kill. Alright, well, that was a good start to the arena. However, the Shaman, I think, was a new player. And I don't know if the warrior was new or not, but he just didn't do anything super impressive. So I would say those are kind of not free wins necessarily. Like I could have lost those games if my deck had been worse, but I still would say that no, it's not like we cannot reach the conclusion that my deck is good on the basis of those 2 wins. We're gonna be putting the metal to the fire in the upcoming games. Well, speaking of which, let's go ahead and pause here. If you enjoyed, like and or subscribe, and if you want to see how the rest of this run ends, then as always, stay tuned. I'm gonna post the rest of the games shortly. See you in a bit.